everyone, this is DJ. As you see, I'm once again recording from my favorite cigar lounge, and this is part 2 of my interview with retired service member Don, who recently finished a disability evaluation from the New Mexico National Guard. We are going to finish up my interview with him, and you will see just what he experienced in the real world as opposed to my explanation of the perfect world regarding the disability evaluation system. In the cases where there are garbled bits of audio, I will, as always, give subtitles so that you can understand what's going on. And in the case of the numerous times that he gives acronyms and whatnot, I will, of course, put those in the show notes so that others can understand them if they don't already know what they mean. Okay, so let's move on to see what Don has to say in part 2.
Awesome. So you're getting paid now? Well, probably no, it's being offset by VA. So
yes, that is. I was on the phone with the master sergeant, and he was guiding me through all this because there's links here. You have to do this and this. I have not yet received my first pay yet, but he said it will, and it'll be offset at like because how it's done with that math on once you're over 50%. I don't know. You had a video on that. I forgot. I forgot how it goes.
Well, the over 50% is for concurrent receipt if you have over 20 years and lots of other things. But you were a paratrooper.
Yes.
You might be eligible for combat-related special compensation.
Well, that was another thing I was going to ask you about, because I even told a buddy of mine, he and I were both drill sergeants together in California, and he was like, I never heard of that. And I said, yeah, I sent him your video, actually. And he was like, wow, I didn't know that. And I said, yeah, and I was going to ask you, because being a paratrooper, and I did get injured in the field, which you already know about that issue. How does that, what paperwork do I need to file for that? I think the VA had that paperwork on their website.
Yeah. Actually, while I'm thinking about it, while you're talking to that staff sergeant, since he's a medical guy, tell him you want a copy of your entire National Guard health record as well.
Okay.
That's one reason why I said get those, get iPERMS and your health records from the Guard, because that would be a lot of stuff that would help.
Okay. I just hope that if other listeners are out there, we have such a small community with military members. I just hope that when they comes across in any of your videos, or even this one, especially when they're dealing with a bigger, because you're a small person compared to the larger aspect of the National Guard, and in some states you could be one of 10,000 soldiers, and if you don't understand the system can just swallow you up.
Right.
And if you don't have any, because none of this, with all the years I've been in, this is the first time ever during my time in the National Guard that I knew about how to read an RPAM or understand what I need to do in order for medical, or really understand, what's the difference between concurrent receipt and whatnot. Because I've never been to a place where that stuff was ever explained. And having your videos out there, and you can listen to the whole entirety and go back and pick and choose where you need to understand more, has been beneficial to me, because it helped me not only personally, but it helped me with other soldiers who have their issues. And for me, it's a crying shame where soldiers are coming to me asking, hey, Sergeant, I have this issue, where your own command staff can't answer that question. And that it's bothersome, because they should know. Or remember the old adage, if I don't know, I'll find out the answer.
Exactly. That's how it should be.
So I'll find out where you need to go and stuff like that. You don't see that anymore. And for me, this has been such a great aid when I was going through this whole process. All right, well, I know I know for a fact you guys have to do this. I know for a fact. It's something you can't invent and say otherwise, which they were trying to do. So when I confronted them about them, they're like, "Oh, yes, yes."
Hey,
And
where'd you get this DOD law? This
yeah,
DOD?
exactly. I had it printed. I actually printed it. I was prepared. I was like Perry Mason, you know, or Columbo, for example. Oh, last question.
It's
Isn't
just
this
one more
document?
thing that bothers me.
Yeah. So I was honestly prepared in every avenue to, because in the Army, you gotta have one or two plans. If that plan doesn't work, you have to go to a secondary plan. So I knew for a fact that when I went to see these people or confronted these people, that I need to have. I just couldn't be walking in and agreeing and saying, "Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. That needs to be right." And then when I was listening to them, going, "No, that doesn't sound right to me. In fact, doesn't this what it has to say?" And I could pull it right out. And they were like, "Well, where'd you get this information?" Well, I just told them I can read. It
Right.
doesn't. Um, so that was the greatest aid for me, knowing, because before I would never known. I would never have known unless I was inquisitive enough to type in the Google search and find your information and looking into it.
I will confess that over the year and a half of this soap opera, there were times when I was really worried. It's like I'd be sitting on my end, on this end of the country, thinking, oh man, he's going to just give up and take the 15-year letter and walk away. Because sometimes I could just sense, you know, um, pessimism, I guess, or,
Well,
or
yes.
weariness. Maybe
Well,
that's the right word.
it's just when
I mean, you were tired.
the thing is, I just see that there was so much, how, at least in this state really really made me so jaded on anything that I ever experienced in the military, where I would get phone calls from soldiers saying, "Sergeant, they just took my line and paragraph. I was supposed to be in the STEP program. I had OML, PME, and yet they're promoting this AGR who failed an MOS school." And I'm like, what? They can't do that. So they'll do backwater things for each other, for other people. But when it came to the soldier care, it was all talk, no action. And you kind of wonder, well, if my fear was just like when I was going through the process when that AGR was with me when I injured my back, and he said, when we get back to the rear, when we get home, I'll take care of it, which he didn't. And every day when I saw him, he would say, I'm working on it. And then it came to the point where I've seen your PHA records, and I was like, how did you get access to that? So I just got the feeling that it was uphill struggle and an uphill battle, because I'm just an in-day compared to a full-time AGR, and you've been around the block, so you can say, hey, some states are not like that, but some states are, and they
Every state has people like that.
yeah, and in Maryland I didn't see that. My unit, I'm telling you, they would protect their soldiers. My first sergeant was saying, I will walk through hell for you guys, but don't screw me over if I'm going to do that. Our BC was like that. Our command sergeant major was like that. My company commander was like that. And then when I come here, it was the total opposite. And it was I just felt like I was like I don't know, a needle in the haystack. I was the needle, and everyone else is the hay, and they're all after me. So I'm like, no, this is too much. But then again, even when one sergeant was helping me, I was kind of skeptical about the whole thing. I had a lot of skepticism. Is he really trying to help me? Is he? But then I realized, no, actually he is. he's contacted me, through text or phone calls, emails. So, and when he said, "Hey, Sergeant, I got your back. I'm not going to let you walk away from this with nothing." And I said, "All right." And it's just that sometimes certain places give you a bad taste in your mouth.
Actually, this is a lot more interesting than the questions. Let's just keep, unless you actually want to hit a few of these.
Well, if you have a question, yeah, shoot it out. I'll answer if it helps anybody.
Well, you wrote the questions, and they're more designed, at least from what I'm reading here, they're more oriented toward you asking me, at least it seems. But what I wanted out of this was for people to learn from your experience, and that's exactly what you've been giving us. So I'm willing to let you keep talking.
No, I think I summed everything up as best I can. I'm probably forgetting a few things in between because it was a long process. It was at times where it was frustrating, but all in all, because we were missing an AGR for almost a year, and when I was at drill, I was still in his position. It was frustrating in a lot of aspects. Not only the medical side. Before then, trying to promote, trying to get other people to promote, trying to keep people off profile. Trying to get them to schools, trying to keep them motivated. There's a lot of people were unmotivated to be there. When I arrived here to this state, there was people were already mobilized and sent to Africa, which they're already back by now. There was the rear. I was control the rear deck, so I had 50 plus soldiers in this area. Some of them were excellent soldiers. Some of them, were on the fence about a lot of stuff. Some were very jaded about the whole situation. They just wanted to buy their time. And I had to manage through all that, not only their stuff, but my stuff, the command stuff, and try to be on top of everything. And then to top it off, COVID-19 comes in, and trying to keep everybody, in par for drills and trying to get their stuff done. And it was just everything was busy. Even for an in-day, I ended up feeling because they would task me. They would call me and say, "Hey, we need this, this, and this, and we can't get in touch with this soldier." Yeah, of course, because they don't like you. They'd rather deal with me. I had a conversation with my first sergeant. He's like, "Hey, Sergeant, I'm sorry. He apologized, saying I haven't been on top of things. I appreciate what you're doing. I know I should be more involved in your situation." Everything was just an excuse. And instead of just taking action, it was just an excuse. So that's what I mean when I had a bad taste and I had a lot of resentment about the whole situation, where I really felt is that, man, do these people really have my back? Or they're just, just conning me into to make me believe that they're actually helping me. But like I said, if it wasn't for the godsend of knowing you and knowing this other sergeant, and really that sergeant really behind the scenes pushing everything, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And I'm very fortunate and blessed in that aspect, because I was waiting for a fight. I was waiting for a big fat zero, to be honest with you. Because just the way they were acting, it just seemed like the higher echelon didn't really care. It was just I felt like I was by myself. I got to do all this by myself, and the support was there. And from the unit and the medical, I think they just, like I said, they just see people. They're just trying to get out. You're dead weight. You're just trying to get out. Okay, we'll just check the box, get you out of here. And then how everything in the guard is numbers based.
Oh yeah.
So with that, I gave it 110% every time I was around the guard as a soldier. And when it came to my stuff, I felt is that they were just dropping the ball, and they weren't really concerned. You see it. You've been around the block just as long as I have, and you see how things are, the business is being conducted, you kind of question things.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why I was, kind of hesitant on what route I'm going to go, and is this a safe, or do I trust this? Because like I said, I had the issue with this CW4, and I never, to be honest with you, it wasn't I always kept my military bearing. I don't want anybody to think that I just went ape on everybody. That's not the case. I always presented myself as a professional NCO constantly, but the same token, I did interject when I felt that I need to question and stuff. So make sure I'm understanding, and also to make sure that, hey, I've got this information here to make sure that we're in the same sheet of music, because it didn't sound like we're in the same sheet of music. So I don't want anybody thinking, oh, this guy's writing in your blog and everything, saying, oh, this guy sounds like he was just a tyrant. And that wasn't the case. I've never presented myself to my command, my first sergeant, anybody who's a higher rank with me. I always show the professionalism, go to parade rest, attention, and show that respect. However, with the same thing, I would always ask, hey, can I free to speak? When they said free to speak, then I would present my side of the story and say, this is what I interpret. So that's one thing I'm really big on. Because today's Army, you see a lot of soldiers not upholding to the standards and not being held to the standards. So I always maintain the standards, but when I'm given an opportunity to explain myself, I did. So, and that for me is important. That's very important to show that, hey, even though I couldn't function longer as a soldier, but I miss it. I miss the soldiers tremendously, but I wasn't going to allow to be railroaded at all as well, because, you're just out of this state, there's 5,000 National Guard members. You're just a number to them. And like that guy told me many years ago, you have to be your own best advocate. Fight it until the last you can. And that's what I did. So I was fortunate in that respect. But again, I did everything according to what the regulations were. If I'm held to the same regulation, then I believe everybody else should be held accountable for those regulations as well. So that's where.
Oh my gosh, he believes in standards.
Yes. Well, you've been around the block. Back in the old days, it was train and train. Now we do train and fight, and now they're going back to train and train. And I would say, hey, we gotta. I'm always about, hey, we gotta train hard. And with my guys, my important thing as a leader was, hey, you team leaders, you squad leaders, these are your guys. Manage them. We'll keep it at our level, and we'll make it happen. Whatever needs to be done. And let me worry about the big stuff. So I kept it managed that way, and I'm not saying I'm the best, but I believe in. You remember the old book, Be No Do.
Yep.
So I follow that standard, and it always, authoritative, delegative, and participative. So and you wouldn't believe, I had soldiers, NCOs, when I say be no do, they're like, what's that, Sergeant? I was like, oh my goodness, you never heard of that? They don't teach that in these schools anymore? No. You do your online portion, you go in for a couple of weeks, and you get promoted. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh no.
So yeah, so those things, like I said, I always try to maintain the standards, be professional, but have the information, because I knew I was going to be questioned, or they're going to tell me some other things. That's why I had your resources available to me. So when they said, well, that's not the case, and I go, well, according to this regulation, that's what it says. In fact, you're supposed to give me an opportunity to do something else if I can't. But they deemed that they told me no, and like the colonel, basically he said, you're done. There's no more with your situation. You're done. So and I knew that, I personally knew. My mind tells me otherwise. When you see a TV show and you see those guys going, who all, or being who all the time, you're like, man, that's what I miss. But your mind says, yeah, you could do that, but your body tells you, no, you can't do that.
No.
So once you get your listeners out there, and they might have an easier process, I hope it works out for them the best way. They understand the system. Their states are probably better. Like Texas, had I probably came to Texas, they would have been. I've heard Texas is remarkable. I was when you told me to go see this one NCO up in Maryland, when I made my appointment with him and I told him who you were and stuff, he goes, "Oh, I know him." And he was digging through everything. He would not leave that desk. I mean, I sat there just twisting my, twirling my thumbs while he was searching all my paperwork, doing this, and he was making it happen. He goes, "Oh, we
He
can fix
is
this."
one of
Yeah.
the best RPN NCOs in the country.
Yes, and I give him, uh, you, when he said, "Oh yeah, we fixed it," and I even asked him, I said, "Will anybody else question it?" And he goes, "No." And when I came here,
In
when
fact,
they
I'd
had to
say he
verify,
is the best because he
yes.
trains all the others in the country.
So that I wasn't, worried about. And being a young soldier, when I left active duty, when I was back in my career, I couldn't make drill or I couldn't do this, and I didn't know whether I was going to make a career out of it and everything, and under a stop loss and all those other things that were going on and whatnot. This is, working more than 40 hours a week, and then you have drill. And in retrospect, I said, man, I should just sucked it up and did what I was supposed to do, and that I would have had more points or whatever the case may be. Those I tell soldiers, I was telling them, I said, hey, whether you make a career or not, if you do, at the last minute, you might decide to do another 6 years. Your missing drill is going to affect you on your good year. Trust me, I know. And you're going to have someone having to go through your records and fixing this stuff, which I know. So everything, it wasn't like something I just made up. It's something I experienced, something I learned from your videos and talking to you and getting the right person to fix it. So because I went through one process and I asked them to fix it, and it showed years, but it didn't show points. I even showed it to you. So
You need an
it was,
updated RPM also.
excuse me?
You need to get an updated RPM statement also.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, absolutely. So, everything, if it's just not a medical portion, it could be, getting the proper RPAM situated, which your video explains it. And I think it's very important that if there's an NCO out there, whether it be National Guard, Air, or Army, that they know these things, because when you as a soldier can request a copy, and then you can go look through it and say, wait a second, there's something wrong here. And then, like when I had a soldier, he actually had his RPAM statement. And I said, oh, you got your RPAM? He goes, yeah. He goes, but I don't know how to read it. I go, come with me. He goes, you know how to read this thing? And I said, I do now.
Yeah. One
So,
of the most flattering things I've ever heard was when you told me that you use my videos for training your soldiers.
yes, very much so. I would, whenever we had downtime and they had questions, and I said, good, we're going to use this. I use it as a segue to show them that your videos, and they're like, why didn't you know this? I said, yes, that's why it's important for you because you're going to fill, I always told them, I said, your job is to fill my position, right? And someone other private is going to fill your position. So you need to know these things. So if you may come across them for yourself that affect you, but then you might be a team leader, squad leader, a platoon sergeant, or a first sergeant for that matter. And you're like, oh, well, I'm going through this, or the soldier's going through this. And I kept, I have my big notebook, and I have notes on everything you said. Oh, he said this about this. So I still have it upstairs in my house, and then I would take it to drill with me. So when a soldier had something, and I go, well, come here, let's look at it. And I said, well, according to this, and they're like, where do you get all this information, Sergeant? And I said, check this out. And they're like, wow. And when I first got there, not many people really liked me. So they really thought I was one of these NCOs that wanted to just flex his muscles, came in as a new idea and stuff like that. And because they see it,
Nothing new.
so when they saw that I was actually, I won't tell you what they called me because this will be broadcast on YouTube or whatever. But I told my commander, I said, well, it's better than this. And I said, I'd rather be known for this. But I had a specialist. He came in. He was up at Med Deck in Albuquerque one day, and he came back the following day. And he goes, "Hey, Sergeant, can I talk to you?" And I said, "Yeah, let's go. Let's go to my office." So we sat down. He goes, I said, "Look, I know you guys call me." He goes, "No, Sergeant." He goes, "You know something? Initially, when you came in, you had that drill sergeant mentality, that old infantry mentality and stuff like that. We weren't expecting that. You always, I can tell you one thing, you always have our back. And when you told me, and the information I gave him wasn't information that I had known throughout my career. It was information I obtained through you, and all I was doing was regurgitating it to him. So when he went up to med deck, yeah, because we had sat down, I said, "This is what you need to do when you get up there." And he came back and he goes, "Man, I spoke to this person. They gave me this person, and I said that what you told me, and now I'm doing this." And I said, "See." So that's why I like watching your videos, because I get information that's given you present, and I just give it right back to them. And I
You
said,
just made my day.
no, it was always perfect, whether it be, like I said, for RPAM, medical issues, understanding their VA compensation. I've actually talked to them about their VA compensation, about it, and everything. So everything the majority of your videos that you put out there, I've told soldiers about it. They come back to me, and in fact, to this day, a lot of them still get in touch with me, and they're saying, "Hey, I got this issue. What do I need to do?" And since I have copious notes on everything, I said, "Hold on, let me go back to my notes," and I'll call them back and say, "Okay, have you done this and this and this?" And they said, "No, I haven't done this." I said, "Well, ask them about this, talk to so and so about this and everything." They're like, "Roger that, Sergeant." And it's funny because they still call me Sergeant. So, and they'll call me early in the morning. "Morning, Sergeant, how you doing?" I'm like, you don't have to call me Sergeant." He goes, "The reason we still call you Sergeant because we respect you." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." So, but it was weird because we came out of church Sunday, and it was the first time, because my wife is in the federal system. I can't really divulge I think I've told you where she works, but we were coming out of the church, and I guess one of her subordinates, I had the mask. You have to, because masks are not mandatory, but you have to wear a mask wherever you go these days. Mm-hmm. And it had a little emblem on there, and the guy, I guess he was looking at me going, "Hey, I don't recognize that guy." So they were following us out of the church, and my wife was right next to me, and I guess he recognized her because he called her by her name, and she had turned around, and she goes, "Oh, it's you," and because I saw this guy with this emblem where we work and everything, because I didn't recognize him, and she introduced me and stuff, and this is when I'm getting to the point where it's like, my wife goes, "Yeah, he just retired out of the Army." So to hear her, saying I'm retired, it was like, whoa, it's new.
Kind of hits like a brick, doesn't it, when you first hear it? Wow, I'm retired.
Yeah, exactly. Because you go, even in the Guard, I would tell these guys, I said, "Look, I'm doing 110 things at 110 miles an hour, and then next thing I know, once you're done, it goes total stop, and you're like, I'm not getting 100 emails, every 5 minutes, or getting calls from so and so, from Joe's, or from command staff, or from AGRs, or whatnot. So, or battling this thing, battling that thing. Like I said, if anything I miss,
I completely can relate. That was the biggest shock for me when I retired, going from a million miles an hour to a full stop. It's like, whoa.
Yes.
What
yes,
did I do?
And yes, I mean, like I said, I got soldiers that would call me, and they said, "Sergeant, I've been trying to get a letter from the command showing that I'm an employee of the Army so I can get my house." And I was like, "That's too easy. Type it up, sign it, send it in." I said, "Does that work?"
They could get that off of a DFAS website or MyPay website now.
Yeah, they wanted I don't know. They wanted something from the verification from the command. I said, "Yeah, that's no problem." I said, "Would they accept a letter from me?" And he called me back and said, "Absolutely." So I still read the title, and I have everything typed out for them, and it worked. And in fact, they would, when this COVID thing started happening, and we had our so-called call-in, 100% and all this other stuff, and guys would be volunteering and stuff. So they would say, well, they want to talk to the commander whether this is true or not. So just have them call me. So I would call their employer, and their employer would call me and ask them, hey, is this true? And I said, yeah, this is. He's on standby for this and this and this. Oh, okay, that sounds good. Because trying to get in touch with somebody, especially when your commander's a part-time Joe or a first sergeant, and especially trying to get in touch with somebody at an armory is virtually impossible. So,
Right.
so those are the things that I miss. The other stuff, it came with it. I could forget it, but
well, next time those guys call you, tell every last one of them to go subscribe to my YouTube channel.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I found your last one with that officer who was a PA, I think. That was I think he was in Desert Storm.
Yeah. William.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching that because I guess he was in medical and they sent him right back to the infantry.
Yeah. He became a PA on the civilian side. Then when they mobilized him, they said, well, we can make you a PA. And he said, no, you can't. I'm branch qualified as infantry.
Yeah, I thought that was rather interesting, his whole story. So I was like, wow, even an officer is having difficulty. I was just
that was a fun interview.
No, it was very beneficial. I get something out of every single one of them, and the hardest thing for me is when you sit down with a young private and you try to say, and it's like this on systemic through whether it be active duty, National Guard, or whatever. The first thing is they come back, they have some money in their pocket, they're gonna go blow it, but they don't think about the legacy. I had a big old thing when we got activated. I had 10 active duty soldiers, and when I sat down with them and talked about the TSP, and the TSP was based on what you had told everybody else out there in the free world. It wasn't like something I took the class on JKO, which was, you just click the box, get through it. But yours was more explained everything, the difference between the old TSP and the new TSP and what you can get out of it. And I was actually educating active duty soldiers on it. So that just goes to show that your information is very valid. Well, I wouldn't have known this if it wasn't for, in fact, my nephew is on active duty right now. And when he went in, when I was in Maryland, I got him enlisted over there. He's a 25 Bravo, and he's already done his first tour in Afghanistan, came back, he's in Kansas. And so I explained to him everything you had in your video about the new TSP system. So he's contributed what he can to, he's really good with his money. So he does contribute a lot to his TSP, and he's already been in 3 years. So he's done a lot. And even he contacts me. He goes, hey, I had this issue with his NCO. What should I do? And I said, this is what you need to do. Da, 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 da. He's like, okay. And then he'll call me back. Okay, it's all good. So this information that you put out, I know I've said it about 100 times already. It's good information. It's just that it's easier for an NCO to sit down and watch it. It's harder to get someone like a private first class and below, and you're trying to educate them because they're like, herding cats, if you will.
Yeah.
To get it.
They're impatient.
Yeah, exactly. So
some of them tend to be 20, 25 minutes long, and they want to get up and move.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I told him, I said, look, you can watch it, you can pause it, walk away, come back. If you have a question, let me know. Or I give them the Reader Digest, version of it, because I like I said, I take a lot of notes while I was, watching your videos. And so I go back. And to this day, if someone calls me and they're saying, hey, I have this issue with this, what do you think? And fortunately, I have the videos to refer to, or I can go right back to my notes and say, so this is what he's saying in this, and this is what he's saying in this. Okay, I get that. So it's been there, and like I said, if it was by chance back in Elk Ridge, Maryland, and trying to figure out RPAMs and all this other stuff, and I came across your information, and whoa, and that set the stage for everything else.
2 years of drama later, here you are.
Yeah, here I am. Now, my wife's complaining, well, you need to get a different part-time job. So.
Well, the cool thing is your military retirement, even though it's being offset, it's double what your reserve retirement is.
No, yeah, I agree. I have, I've been blessed, and I tell people, I said, look, I have no complaints whatsoever. It's just that I was just worried about them trying to screw me over, because like I told you, when I came back into the Guard, all this other stuff was happening, and trying to get to the next level, and it's like you have to fight everything, and trying to find the right people to do the right things is always the hardest thing. When it came to this situation, I knew how the system worked, because I watched the videos, I learned everything, and asked you many questions and doubted this, and you're like, oh, hey, knucklehead, this is how it's done. And then when you're in the lion's den and you're talking to these people and they're telling you otherwise, you're sitting there going, whoa, like I said, you have to be your own Columbo about this, and saying, well, hold on here. It sounds like you're inventing this stuff and not going by what's here in black and white.
That's what I meant, kind of, when I said you seemed unsure or weary, because you'd, over that year and a half, you'd send these emails, oh, they're doing this weird stuff again, and I don't know what to do. Are you sure I can't just take a 15-year letter? Like, no, do not take I'm trying to send brainwaves. Do not take the 15-year letter.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just that I was just, so many things happen, and you kind of worry about are you risking everything? It's like throwing the craps table. You're throwing the dice down. You're like, am I going to roll those numbers?
And you were worried about it affecting your VA rating, and I kept saying it won't affect.
Yeah, it was just because of that warrant officer, the way she came up, and said, you're no longer going to be. When she told me that, I was like, well, hold on here, because she made it. Had you been there, you would have been upset, and the system. So me being a novelist and you being the expert.
I'm over about, let's see, what is it, like 2,000 miles where you are from where I am?
Yes.
I'm 2,000 miles away, and I was upset reading your email.
Yeah, I was really, I was like, is she trying to, I'm like thinking, she's not helping me. She's trying to destroy me. That was the whole thing, was railroaded, and trying to find allies. Am I being, who's being honest with me over here? Now, it wasn't on your side; it was on this side.
Right.
I thought that my command would have my best interest. You would figure your command would have the best interest of the soldier, and
you would hope.
And you would hope, and it wasn't like I was a dirtbag, or whatever. Yes, was I demanding in a sense? Yes, because they demand a lot of stuff out of me, so it's the same thing I demanded out of them, and it reciprocates back and forth. It goes unilaterally. So when you tell me you've never done this before, to me that's no excuse. You should have been trained in this at least, or get the right answers. I would never ever tell anybody I don't know. I would tell them, say, okay, well, let's figure this out, and let's go make it happen. We'll go to the person that needs to be.
I was one of many instructors at the Captain's Career Course / First Sergeant's course, and LODs, IDES, retirements, all of these things were one of many subjects on the syllabus for these people. Is there no Captain's Career Course, or maybe it's not? It wasn't really a Captain's Career Course. It was a First Sergeant's Commander's course. run at state level. So I guess there must not have been some equivalent course there.
You know,
In
if
my
there is,
state, there was such a thing, and it was incredibly useful.
yeah, it's amazing. It's just like resilience training. I guess they try to get out of it as much as they can until an issue happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I was, again, I had, when I would sit there and talk to my CO, and he, when it came to my LOD, he goes, yes, I talked to him. He's going to do it. I have your back. I have your back. And then when the AGR was leaving, well, it was just, he had blisters. That's all I remember. No, that he's lying, because he was there he wasn't there when I got the injection. He was there when the master sergeant from the SF saying, you know, he shouldn't be running missions anymore and stuff like that because of the back. In fact, there was a Army colonel. He was like, dude, you know, you're killing yourself. And I said, well, I gotta show face for these Joes. I gotta, you know, be out there. He goes, yeah, but not for your life. And one night he goes, fall down. I'll have my medic take care of you. I was like, no, sir, no, sir. And I should have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have got a bird out of there. But it was just that the idea of giving up. And I think that wasn't in my vocabulary. But I would figure, because every month from the time we got back, you know, I'm working on it. And when he put me on ADOS orders for the month, yeah, I'm doing it. And then it was just every time, you know, I told him, I said, hey, I want to go to this school. And he said, oh, but we can't send you to school because of this issue. And I was like, okay, well, this is before I went through the medical process. I said, well, if I need to take a PT test, let's do it now. So I show up in PTs. He goes, what are you doing? I said, we're going to take a PT test. Oh, no, we got to do it during drill time.
That was actually good. Doing it while you were in military status, that was a good idea.
Yeah, so I mean, every time I try to do it, it wasn't, you know, I always wanted to better myself and better my soldiers and whatnot. But it was just, I seen it over here. It was like, what I seen over here actually was the AGRs. They put themselves in the schools before they would put the regular Joes in, and their philosophy was, well, we need to get a taste of the school first, so when we send Joes to the school, we can tell them what they need to be prepared for. And I'm like, okay, so, but there's only one school for the whole year. It's, I don't know. I digress a little bit, but again, like I said, if it wasn't for clicking on those videos back in Maryland and clicking on again over here in the El Paso area and learning, you know, because you can watch it once and you go, and then you go back over and go, oh man, I missed that part. Okay. And you go back again and you go, okay, I get that part now. Oh, now I see what he's doing because I'm experiencing it. So
did you see the series of videos I did with Heather, the Army Reserve officer?
Trying to remember. I've seen so many of them.
She was asking specifically about going through IDES and what to expect. And
I think, you know, it's funny because now your videos, just when I hit YouTube, the first thing that pops up is you. It does. It does. The first thing, you know, because, you know, I guess you watch them and they say, oh, YouTube says it must be one of his favorites because, you know, sometimes and it pops right up there and it goes, oh, okay. And it leaves off right where I left off at. And I'm like, well, I watched that one already. So, and, but I'm trying to remember, I might have, but I thought the one I thought I really enjoyed is when you had the one with the lady who you interviewed when I think she's from, Fort Knox or Fort Campbell. She was a Pueblo. She was an active duty, not active duty, but she was on the active duty side. You were interviewing her, and I thought that was
been in New
dead
Mexico
on.
Too long. You're saying it like the Indian tribe.
Oh, but that was really dead on. I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
That was
completely unplanned.
Oh.
Um, I was there talking to her. I had an appointment to see her, and I thought, why not? Why
Hmm.
not just take this opportunity?
Hmm. Well,
So I made the suggestion, and she said, sure, why not?
well, I was kind of surprised because I was worried personally. I thought, oh man, this lady's going to jeopardize her job because you never know about the Army and their policies.
Well, that's why we didn't use her real name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
So,
made up a name on the spot.
oh, that's right.
Uh,
And it was very good. It was very it was important because you see it from her perspective, and you get you're getting good information because you go, okay, and I took a lot of notes on that one, a lot
yeah.
of notes on that one, and yeah, it was that one. I must have 20 pages of information on. So.
Maybe I should go back to Knox and do a follow-on interview with her.
Yeah, because it is a very good one. It's dead on. It gives out good information. It sort of puts your mind at ease a little bit to show that okay, this is what they're doing on the other side of the house. So it helped. It helped quite a bit. Well, I appreciate giving the opportunity to tell my story in regard to this everything that I experienced in the last couple of years with the medical portion. And like I said, when I found you and kind of bothered you and not understanding fully that, but all in all, everything, I hope it does help someone, clicks on it, they listen to it and they go, wow, that I can relate to that guy. And he says, yeah, that's what's happening to me. And he reaches out to you to get good information, because that's the key, is getting good information, trustworthy information, because everybody in the Army is always, am I going to get screwed over on this? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, and everyone's always about, what's their best interest. Because I talk to guys, they could have got on, in fact, one of the UPS guys, he goes, I got out of medical and now I'm facing this. And, or guys, I was like, I even told one, I tried to plead with him, don't go non-PEB. Don't do non-PEB. Go go through the process. And he wouldn't listen to me. He, like I was kind of dead wood to you. And then he reached out to me and he goes, because he was just so out of it. He was just done with the military and not even be associated with the Army even in the name. But then he sent me an email. He's like, hey Sergeant, can that information you gave me about, at least about filing my medical, for my medical stuff for claims and stuff, is that still good? Can I still, get something from you? I said, yeah, I'm here to help you. I wish you would had listened before then, you know what I mean? And, but, it's not until they vacate the Army itself, they figured, oh, I want nothing ever to do with this. But then I always tell them, say, look, they're working you so hard, you need to get something to return out of them. Don't walk out here empty-handed.
Absolutely.
So, because they'll chew you up, spit you out, and replace you with someone else. And I learned this while I was assigned to the recruiting command as a drill sergeant. And I remember watching these recruiters, and I know you got to go, but real quick, I would see these soldiers come in, possible soldiers, and these guys would take their ASVAB, do medical, and then something would come up, and the recruiters would go, "You're the greatest thing since sliced cheese," but something during the pipeline comes up, and they get disqualified, they get DQed for some reason or another, and next thing you heard out of the recruiter is that guy's a turd. And I'm like, wow, this is what you refer to these guys? I mean, you butter them up so much, now you hate them, something in there, something clicked on them. They didn't want to go, a girlfriend, something clicked in their minds. And that's why I feel about me sometimes. I feel like, oh, this guy, you know, he did this drill, he was trying to be this, but now that we got rid of him, you know, they sit in formation, they go, man, we got rid of that turd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and my thing is that, well, at least I walked out with something. You know, I got my rating, which I had, and I'm a retired Army soldier, and that's even better. So regardless, I left with something, and something's better than nothing. And that's what I tell these guys. You may hate me, but I guarantee you 6 months down the line, something I told you is going to pop in your mind. You're gonna wish that you had paid attention. So.
And you'll call again.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure that, you know, after I left, because I was fair, I followed the NCO creed. You know, be fair and impartial. You know, be technically and tactically proficient. I believed in that. You know, learn about leadership. You know, and one of the things they go, well, I'm a great leader, and I go, no, you're not. And they said, why aren't you? I said, because you failed to act. The leader has to act. You have to do something, good, bad, or indifferent. You have to do something, and you're not doing anything. So how can you lead when you're not doing anything? And I'm sure, you know, after I left, some of them were like, we got rid of that old guy, you know. But some of them I know that, you know, were trying to learn, because they would come up to me, and that was the thing with your videos and stuff I learned from all the years of being in service. I felt I was becoming well-rounded on a lot of different skill sets. So whenever a scenario popped up, I was able to address it. And like NODs, I didn't know anything about NODs until I learned about them when about 5 years ago. I never heard of the term. And
Are you saying LODs or NODs?
Sorry, see, I've been out already. LODs. I beg your pardon. LODs, line of duty.
All right.
Brain fart. You gotta give me a little credit. I got 2 out of 3 right. But the LODs, I had to, you know, I had to learn about them, because when they were talking about LODs.
I thought I was starting to have a hearing problem.
No, it's me. It's after I left, I'm telling you, acronyms. I started, you know, going off the cuff. You know, like when someone says, "Oh, he's was it FRT?" And I was like, "What the hell is FRT? Failure to return." I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." So, you know, things like that.
Better than TRF.
TRF. What's
Turn
TRF?
ready to flush.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
That's an old country one.
Oh yeah, I got keep that in my repertoire. Like I learned one back in the airborne days. You're good to hook, good to hook. I always tell my guys, I say you're good to hook, and they're like, sorry, what does that mean? I'm sorry, man. You're not airborne. You know, your hook. When you hook up, you're good. Your hook is good. You know, and you know, it's like, are you tracking? You know, back feed me or whatever you know, all that stuff. And sometimes
we've got our own language.
I know, and one of them was like, I was joking with another NCO that I've known for a long time, and I said, man, you're as square away as a donut. and he knew what I was talking about, but the Joe didn't know what I was talking about. So it's just like, and it's just, you know, like when you and I were in, you know, you like, what do you think, you're back on the block? You know, they wouldn't even say that these days, you know. And you know, it's just the old mentality. And now it's gotten too soft.
Thank you so much for coming on and telling your story. I think this is going to help out a lot of people.
I hope so too. That was my goal, was to make sure. That's why I wanted to do it. Is, hey, this was because you know how it is. You're promised one thing, you're told one thing, and nothing happens. You're always getting that, and no one believes it. It just happens to me. Well, no, it happens to others, and this is the struggles, and you just got to be on top of it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again. You have a great day. Take care of the kid, and look forward to getting this online soon.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much, Don. I appreciate it.
No, anytime.
You have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
All right, so that was part 2 of the interview with Don. As you see, he had some great information on the real life side of things, and I greatly appreciate his spending time with me and benefiting all of the rest of you out there on the side of the audience, providing us with real world information as opposed to simply my explanation of how things should be. He shows us how things can be when you're not necessarily dealing with people who know how things should be. Of course, Don had the foresight to contact me whenever there was a problem, and that did greatly assist him in pushing through with those obstacles that he experienced. For any of you out there who are experiencing the same, I invite you to contact me at dj@rcretirement.com and seek advice as well. I have no problem giving my advice on what should be done for disability evaluations and what should happen. That will assist you in getting through this ordeal and getting the maximum benefit that you should. So, as I said before, I appreciate Don spending time with me and giving me his experience. That will benefit all of you out there. And I do ask that you spread this video, this podcast, to others who you think will benefit from it. So, please remember that you can support my efforts by going to patreon.com/rcretirement and choosing any level of support that you wish. There are several that are pre-established, but you can create one of your own as well. And if you choose a rate of $25 or more per month, you will receive a 20% discount on any fee-for-service that you choose off of my website. If you choose to contract me for individual support, I have a great many services that I offer on the individual side, which can provide an additional stream of income for you, should those services or should those benefits. All right, please spread the word of this channel, of this podcast, of all of these various educational means to others so that they may also benefit from this information as well. This is what service members need to know in order to best improve themselves and their families and maximize the benefits they are earning through their service on a daily basis. I do thank you for being part of this audience and for spending your time with me. And until the next time we meet on this forum, on this media, I thank you for your time and for your service. Have a great day. All right, please spread the word of this channel, of this podcast, of all of these various educational means to others so that they may also benefit from this information as well. This is what service members need to know in order to best improve themselves and their families and maximize the benefits they are earning through their service on a daily basis. I do thank you for being part of this audience and for spending your time with me. And until the next time we meet on this forum, on this media, I thank you for your time and for your service. Have a great day.
If you liked what you heard on today's episode, then please go below and give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to this channel. Also, please let other people know about this channel and the information it can provide for them. If you have questions or comments, then please have no qualms about posting them in the comments section below. Please remember the RC Retirement YouTube channel and the RC Retirement website are not recognized or endorsed by the Department of Defense, the Department of Veterans Affairs, or any other government agency. The information presented in these resources are for entertainment and informational purposes only. Also, the content of either of these resources should not be considered financial or legal advice. Please consult with your own legal counsel, accountant, or financial planner before making any decisions based on what you have learned here. As always, thank you for watching the RC Retirement YouTube channel.